also do some question answer and maybe get people started for the people. I think we got an updated email saying it's half the schools in Berkeley are out of compliance with their bylaws. And so we're hoping to get folks to a place where they feel comfortable getting started. And then of course, there's twice monthly office hours for completing them as needed. So I'll let the leadership here take it away.
Hello, everyone. Some of our Peralta officers are here and would like to share a little bit about their role and responsibilities. And first will be our treasurer, Kristen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen. I'm Peralta's treasurer. Basically, kind of summing it up, since treasurer is such a big role, but you must be a check signer, of course, along with another check signer as well. Basically, the treasurer reports to your board and your association, your treasury reports, your budget, releasing funds, making sure your budget's up to date if there's any changes at your association meeting. Per caps, we're responsible for forwarding payment of our district, state, and national dues to Peralta. And that's from all of our units go to council, and then council sends them to district, and then we send them on to CAPTA. Monthly, your responsibilities are authorization of payments, records of receipts, records of deposits, so using that cash verification form just like a unit, monthly bank reconciliation, and then yearly paying your insurance, filing taxes, workers' comp, and that's for units and councils. And then, of course, preparing a financial review is for all units, councils, and of course, district that does that as well. Very brief.
Okay. Next up is our financial reviewer, Arlene.
Hi, everyone. Mine's also going to be very brief. So the role of financial reviewer is to review the books and the financial records of the PTA to determine their accuracy. And it's broken into 2 periods. So the fiscal year for the PTA starts from July 1st to June 30th. So it's broken up by 6 months. Right now we are due for the first 6 months since it's already January. Per unit bylaws, a financial review is performed by a financial reviewer or appointed by a financial review committee, or a professional is hired by the unit. A financial reviewer is a PTA member who is a qualified accountant or bookkeeper that's without a committee. They can do it individually on their own, whereas I'm not a qualified accountant or bookkeeper, so we have a financial review committee, and then it's chaired by me, the financial reviewer, and its members are appointed by the executive board and then ratified by the association as the committee. My role is to then present the written report of the financial review to the board and the association, and to upload the copies of the adopted financial reviews to the document retention system that is indicated by my unit's bylaws. And then for more information, I provided a link.
Thank you, Arlene. Next is our secretary, JT.
Hi, everyone. I'm JT Mates-Mushin. I'm serving as the secretary for Peralta. You can see the roles of the secretary, which I found from the CAPTA toolkit, which the link is below. It has tons and tons of information. I'm pretty new in my role, but I will mention that secretary, along with president and treasurer, are the 3 mandatory positions for a unit to be in good standing. And otherwise, I'm learning my role, and I think I could have a few, tidbits. Would be just to make sure that you don't have to write everything down and be, have a full everything, but you need to, make sure that you're recording the major motions and approvals, so that there's a firm record for the future. So And I can try to stick around if there's any questions, but I also have to do some other stuff tonight. But thanks for having me.
Thank you, JT. Next is up is VP Leadership, Linda.
Good evening. The Vice President for Leadership in Peralta is the first Vice President. And there are 3 major areas that the first Vice President handles. The first one is new units. So whenever a school or a community wants to have a PTA, they reach out to Peralta. And we have a whole process that we go through to meet with some stakeholders and then have an informational meeting and then an organization meeting and then start a PTA and then help them through the first few months of their operations, because it's kind of like a lot of trepidation when you first start doing something like this. You don't want to do it wrong. So it's always helpful to have someone or part of your organization that can help you guide that. The second thing that the first Vice President for Leadership does is training. And there's a lot of avenues that we can do for training. We can do in-person training, we can do Zoom training, and we can do hybrid training. We can do office hours, we can do small group training, we can do, have 50 or 100 people in training. So there's lots of different options, and we're going to try to do as many different ones as we can this year. And the third part is just general support for the district board. Usually the first Vice President has been on the Peralta board in other positions before. I personally was Peralta president, and I had also been a unit president. I never was a council president, though. That was too scary. But so I really admire anyone who is willing to be a council president. But basically, knowing what the resources are and knowing how to get information out to people when they have questions about everything. So. And this is my grandson, who will be 2 years old next month. And as soon as he's old enough, he's going to join PTA too.
Thank you, Linda. Next up is our VP Membership, Ujjwala.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So I have a couple of slides. If you think that these are too detailed, you can just raise your hand and tell me that it's too much. We know everything that you're going to tell us. So, but because it's membership, and membership is the key to everything, because PTA is a membership-based organization. It's an advocacy organization, and it's the oldest organization in America. So if you, focus on membership, you are going to make your own PTA strong and the entire structure above you strong, because membership is our voice. And because we are in the business of doing advocacy, that voice is very, very, very important. The more members we have, the more we can say we are speaking on behalf of our members. So the national and state PTA officers, when they go to do the advocacy to, at Washington or in Sacramento, they are representing all of us, all our members. So that's why membership is the key to everything. You can go to the next slide, please. Mm-hmm. So here I tried to show you the structure. I don't know if all of you are familiar or not, but this is the very first question I usually hear from people, like, what do you mean we are at unit? What is a council? What's a district? So I thought I will just quickly give a 2-minute overview. Basically, if you see the green boxes, that's where we belong. Like, okay, there's a national PTA, then there's a state level PTA. Every state has a state level PTA. Under that comes district. Districts are usually one-to-one to the counties that are in the states, but sometimes if the county is very, very, very densely populated, you could have multiple districts, PTA districts, making up that county. In our case, we are all in Alameda County, and Alameda County is like large. We have lots of PTAs, about 150-ish PTAs. The numbers keep varying, but it's about 150 PTAs. But we still, Peralta District PTA is still able to manage, this whole district and hold us all together. So we are Peralta District PTA. Then next level comes the council, which is where you are under the Berkeley Council. And after that, the last one, the last and the best, because that's where all the action happens. That's where PTA actually connects to a community, actually connects to families, students, kids, teachers. So PTA, everything happens at the school level. So you are the key, and you have 15 units in Berkeley Council. So that's the channel for all the communication, for support, for financial transactions. Like Kristen said, all the payments have to flow through unit to council to district to state to national. And we do pay national and state for all the good stuff they do, and we belong to that family. So that is the payment kind of flow. What does district PTA do? All district PTAs throughout the state, throughout the nation, they support the structure under them. They do trainings, they provide sometimes grants, they also have some programs. I left out advocacy because advocacy is a given. You don't have to mention it everywhere that, oh, district does advocacy, oh, state PTA. Everyone does advocacy yourself. Unit officers also do advocacy. When you do anything for students, you are doing something for their well-being, which means you are participating in their advocacy. So state PTA has a ledge conference. It's coming up next month. You can consider registering for it. Conventions, huge, very, very, very informative website, lots of training, governance. They help us to keep us in the right path, right track and lane. So they give us a lot of information about our bylaws and everything else. Tax filing support. If you are struggling to file your taxes, which are supposed to be filed in November, you can just contact them through your council or through the district, but they have a very knowledgeable staff who can help us with tax filing. They are providing a very, very low premium, a very, very affordable, low premium insurance, and they provide lots of tools. Two of them are mentioned here on the slide, which I'll cover later. And National PTA, so they also have a ledge conference and a convention. Both of these events are happening virtually this year. And because they're virtual, they're easy to attend as well as cheaper to attend. So physically, you're not going anywhere, and the fees are also low. So consider attending the ledge conference and convention, National PTA also. They have a fabulous website. They have lots of programs. One prime example is Reflections. Reflections is a National PTA program in which all of us can participate and encourage our students to think and reflect on what's happening around them through art, express themselves through art. So amazing, amazing program. If you don't know about it, go to National PTA website and check it out. Now, going back to the two tools that I wanted to mention, on the right side in the red text, you see Totem. Hopefully, all of you are aware of Totem online membership tool. If you're not, we can talk about it offline, but that's an amazing tool. When a member joins your unit, all the money portion that needs to be sent upward is managed automatically. So it really relieves the treasurers at all levels from all this money managing, sending it upward and writing these checks and everything. And not only it saves you time and effort, also it reduces manual error as well as it's prompt. The minute the member joins, money is taken care of. So there's no delay. So there's no chance that you're going to get in trouble because you didn't send your per caps upward. So that's an amazing system to use. For all other members that join your PTA, you have to send the checks and the 2 signatures and everything. That is the red text. At the bottom of the page, there is this black text. This is the second tool I wanted to mention, which is My PTEZ. And there are 2 parts to this tool. One is free features. It should be features, not featured. Features. And the second is the kind of subscription-based feature. So let's talk about the free features, which you must use. The 2 of them. Bulk emails, you don't have to. But add officers. So every term, your unit president or some officer that the president has delegated must go in and add contacts for all the officers which have been elected, appointed, everything, official officers, because that's the database that state PTA, district PTA, and council PTA will use to contact you. You will get all the updates from the state. You will get updates from the district. If your email is not there, you're going to be left out. So please make sure that if you are an officer and you're not getting any emails, then remind your president like, hey, looks like you may not have added my contacts to this database. So please add. So that's add officers to the database and then upload documents. So the important documents that every PTA has, for example, bylaws, budgets, financial review reports, etc. There is a spot to upload all of them. And it's really, really highly recommended to upload your documents every year. Once a year, you can just upload each one of them. And the third is bulk emails. Bulk emails is mostly useful for councils and districts, not really much for units, but it's free. And annual subscription is an accounting software. Again, highly recommended to use that. It helps your treasurer to keep track. And also, because that system retains the data for about 7-ish years, even if your treasurer has to leave and you kind of lose touch with the treasurer, you can still get a login and continue to access your previous year's data. So yeah, Rita, I see your hand.
Yeah, we did a project several years ago now where we compared and sort of looked at budgets across our schools.
Yes.
And if we were using that software, would we be able to gather information more easily like that?
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean,
so.
usually, sorry to interrupt, but I got your question. Usually, anyone outside that unit does not get access to the financials. For example, as a district, even Christine, who is our treasurer, will not have ready access to any any PTA under. But it is possible if we request the state PTA, it is possible to get access to at least the documents. I think you are able to go and see the documents uploaded by all the units. And if your unit,
I was thinking more because one of the things that we found was most challenging, it would be only by people's interest in comparing. So we would be asking everybody directly, but if we were all using that same form, it might be easier for us to compare across categories.
Yes. Let's explore that. But yeah, it's not readily available, but I'm sure it's possible. So yeah, let's do
Thank
that.
you.
So, before I move to the next slide, which is, I think, much easier than this and much, faster, I'll be able to finish. But if you have questions, please raise your hand quickly or put it in chat. I'll monitor the chat later on because I know you're all eager to get to the bylaws, but I thought this is extremely important. And I wanted to mention as a membership VP about the totem and also my PTEZ. So if you have questions, feel free to, like I said, put it in the chat. I'll put my email ID also in the chat, so you can reach out to me anytime. Before I move to the next slide, every month, I think it's going to be on Thursday. We used to have a meeting on Wednesday. Second Thursday of every month, we have a membership call, like an office hours or a presentation or a training. So February, March, and April, we are hoping to have a great, like a lineup of speakers, if I can get some from National PTA. So please look out for my email and plan to attend that meeting if possible, or send somebody from your unit so that we can kind of get to know your issues, or we can, tailor our training for the next month, etc. So it's always good to be in touch with your council, your own council, and your district also, so that you are, because you're not alone in this. There's a lot of support available and we want to support you. This is just a slide which gives links to state PTA membership website. Then under California State PTA, they have created a password protected website called Leader website. And I strongly recommend all of you to create an account and log in. So all the trainings they do, all the monthly webinars they do, their recordings are uploaded here. They may not be timely uploaded, but they will be uploaded. So you will get to see legislation or leadership or membership, all kinds of webinars are conducted every month. Their recordings are here. So that's good. And I would just continue on this slide and skip the next slide. Toolkit. If you don't know, there is this huge like a book called Toolkit, and you can refer to it in case you have questions. The next, can you go back to the previous slide?
Sure.
And then if you really want to know what membership VP or membership chair needs to do or has to do, you can look up the job description. And similar to the first site, which is the state PTA's website for membership, the last URL is for national PTA. Amazing, amazing, amazing site. I know it'll take a long time to look through, but it's a lot of information. So the reason I'm showing you all this is a lot of people, they have question on the per caps money that needs to be sent upward. Most units feel that why should we part with our money? We have collected the money for our students, and why do we have to give this $4 or $5 to somebody whom we have never met or seen? But this is the reason, because state PTA and national PTA provide tons of resources, tons of support, and they help us to keep our PTA protected from any, any trouble that we can get into with the government agencies. Just the last point before I stop is every PTA is a non-profit organization registered with the state and federal government. So we are all responsible to run our PTA in the correct manner. So that's why we have to do certain things. Anything and everything that PTA tells us to do from higher up PTAs, it's usually what the corporate code of the state is asking every nonprofit to do, or it's the IRS, or it's the FTB. So these guidelines that we get from PTA are only reminders of the rules that every nonprofit has to follow. And there are some rules which PTAs have to follow because they are in the bylaws of the state PTA. And we are under that umbrella, so we need to follow those. So for example, the 15 members, somebody might say, why October? Why do we have to submit 15 members by 10th of October, 15th of October? Because that's what the state PTA has said, that this is how we are going to run our PTA. So just make sure that that money is not going to some random person, or it's not going to a random place, and it's not even going to be used for something else. All the money we send up is again used for us, our training, our resources. So it's up to us to use. If you don't go to use them, then you might say that, yeah, we sent the money and we didn't get anything. You didn't get anything because you didn't take it. It's all available. So thank you for your time. And Arpan, I'm done. You can show the next slide because that's just talking points, but I don't want to talk about it. But these are talking points for your community. If you want to talk to your community about members, because we are right now only Berkeley, community here. So I will say that a lot of Berkeley units, at least as far as I have been involved in Peralta for about 6-8 years now, I have seen that Berkeley units tend to send only per caps for 15 members. It is good that you have 15 members, but like I said, members are our strength, and gradually I would recommend PTAs to move a little bit towards membership and little less towards fundraising. So try to strike that balance, but the idea is to have more members and send per caps upward. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ujjwala. Next up is our Advocacy Committee Chair, Yokes.
Thank you, Arpana. I'm going to keep it short, guys. I know that you guys want to move on to your bylaws next, but I know that we are all advocacy members here. Given that PTA stands for advocacy, why do we need a separate advocacy committee, right? I'm sure that that's what you are thinking. If you're not, that's what I was thinking when I was asked to form this committee. I got involved in advocacy when I went to attend the legislative conference, the state legislative conference last year. And I was actually very passionate about one of the bills there. For context, I am a person who stays away from politics. I hate bills and other anything to do with legislature, I will just try to stay away so far. But this bill was about youth and the youth addiction to social media. So I was really interested when I spoke to the staff member there, and I was asking, how can I help as an individual? How can I make sure that the youth are protected from social media? There was this particular bill which will make sure that youth do not get to log in after 11 p.m. or so forth. There was a time limit. They were trying to restrict the usage of social media so that kids can be protected from that, at least for the time when they are supposed to be offline and all that, right? So that's how I got involved. So what do you need and why do you want to be an advocate? Because we want to make sure that we are able to be the voice for our students, right? And each of us do that, but it is always good to have a separate committee for that. So my first request is, if you do not have an advocacy committee, please make sure that you have, even if it is like 1 or 2 members, whoever wants to talk and make sure that their voices are heard, please form an advocacy committee. And don't think of it as yet another committee in your unit or council, right? What do we do? For starters, let's say what Peralta committee is going to do for you. I don't know if you already heard about the grant we have. We have a grant and we are giving funds out for units to run programs in your schools. If you are not aware of it, I have the link. That is the last link in the slide. We have the advocacy grants. Deadline is Feb 15. Please share with your units and make sure that they apply for it. That is the first thing I wanted to talk about. Next, we are trying to get input from the units to see where you want to hear more about or want a workshop or a webinar or whatever, which our team can help you with, or even provide resources, right? So we have a survey out. Please circulate the survey in your units and councils. I think we sent it out a few months ago. We also had a meet and greet, but we did not see anyone from your council attend. So I would really like to hear back from your council so that we get to know what you guys want help with in terms of resources or workshops or table talks, whatever, right? So please get the survey out and fill it out so that we know how we can help you guys be better advocates. And thirdly, we have the legislative conference coming up on Feb 3rd and 4th. And Peralta has a grant so that your units or councils not have to like put in the funding for that as well. So Peralta has a grant, and this link also has a link for this. So please make sure that you at least have one delegate from your units or council attend this. It will be an eye-opener. This is where I started my journey as an advocate. So I know that this will definitely be something interesting, and please spread the word and try to attend it. Yeah, I think that's all I had for the advocacy. And there are so many grants and other stuff where you can be better advocates. And there are so many, state provides a lot more training as well in terms of advocacy. And this is a newly formed committee, and we are going to have our first ever advocacy event. I would not say it's a legislative event. I want it to be more hands-on, where each and every student and parent can have hands-on. So it's going to be an advocacy event. We are in the process of planning it. If any of you would like to be a part of it, please let us know. It's going to be more fun than work. We want to make sure that we have representation in all the councils in Peralta. This is going to happen sometime in March or April. Your voices, like, also please get this survey out as well. We want to plan our workshops based on the input on this. That's it, guys. If you have any questions, please reach out to advocacy@pdpta.org, and we are more than happy to work with you guys. Thank you, Arpana. That's it.
Thank you, Yogs. I think someone asked for the link to the slides, if somebody can share. So I'll start my presentation if somebody is able to just share the link to the slides.
I'll follow up with you to get the
Okay,
slides,
sounds
and
good.
I'll distribute to everyone. Thank you.
Sounds good. Vinita is not here, I believe. Was she able to join from India?
Benita's here. Yes, Benita.
Oh, she's here.
I'm here. I
Sorry,
made it.
I'm not good at multitasking, so I can't see anybody.
Don't worry. Don't worry. You got it.
Please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here. I am so glad that Berkeley Council and Peralta District are in touch now, and I hope this relationship continues to grow. And I know you guys had been doing some amazing advocacy job in your own council, but I think the message that I want to pass on to Berkeley Council and units is that as being an advocacy organization, it's really good to be in touch with everybody else who is doing advocacy too, so that we are all on the same page and we do the advocacy in the right way. Having said that, I'm Vinita Verma. I'm Peralta District PTA President. And the reason why I'm not on screen is because I'm in India and I have limited Wi-Fi. The role of president is, as the slide says, it's to be team leader, team builder, guide, and communicator, all at the same time, while wearing million other hats. So those of you who are president, you might already relate to it, that what you had been doing is what is it can be challenging, but at the same time it can be very exhilarating and very a lot of fun if you do it right. How do you do it right? You follow your bylaws. You work with your team. Your whole team is your guide, and of course you go to chair. You go to all the meetings, the committee meetings, and you are ex officio in all those meetings. You are chair of your executive board and association meetings. So those are a few things that are needed for you. But I know I'm preaching to the choir. You already know. You already have been president. You had been filling all those shoes and all those doing all those responsibilities. So okay. I know Rita sent me some questions. I haven't gotten an opportunity to look at them. We are here to answer your questions. And if you have any questions for me or the team, please feel free to raise your hand and shoot.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, I think we had gotten a message that a lot of our schools were out of compliance, and I think that was updated today in terms of bylaws. And I think that was updated today that it's about half. And so we had a few people ask questions specifically about bylaws. And so let me pull that up, and maybe we can just go through those questions now. Does that sound? I think that might be a good start.
Sure.
So what the first one might be really easy. How often are we supposed to update our bylaws? The person writing it says they see 2 years and 5 years.
It's 5 years for right now.
Okay.
So it used to be 2 years some years back, but the state changed the rule, and now it is 5 years. You update them every 5 years.
Fantastic.
Rita, I'm sorry, this is Arlene. Beyond the president's slide, there's actually the parliamentarian does have a presentation. You want to have her go through it and then ask your questions?
Oh, if that's better, whatever you guys think.
So if you have any questions specific for me, I can answer because I need to go.
I think ours are more about bylaws, so maybe.
Okay, then Arpana is here. She can answer those questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I can do it either ways. You want to go with the question first because I mean you've been asking, or I can do my presentation. I'm fine with either, whichever you want.
Arpana, give me a second. Let me address if there are any questions just for me, and then I'll leave the meeting for you guys to take over. MHL Mandisa.
Yes, I thank you so much. It is very honor to be here and be a part of PTA and to have you here and have this training. And I just wanted to find out how can we connect and create a stronger bond and a stronger relationship for advocacy and for training between Berkeley Council and the Peralta District. And I can wait for that answer until after we finish with the other questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I can answer a part of it, but rest of it, I'm sure Yogs is going to stick around and she can address those questions. As you know, PTA is an advocacy organization, and many times people forget that we are advocacy organization. We are not fundraising organization. We do fundraising on the side, but mainly we are advocacy organization. That was our founding. That is how we were founded. That's what we had been doing for 127 years. And we are good at it. We know how to do it right. And I understand that there has been a lack of communication between the two entities. However, now that we are starting again, I'm sure we can continue this. And as Yogs mentioned, you can email it to her. You can email her if you are interested in joining the committee, and we can. We are looking for facilities where we can come and do more trainings like these. We can also have our advocacy, not exactly meeting, but kind of conferences where what we are planning for in the month of April in areas closer to Berkeley. So you are more engaged. We try to be more central. Unfortunately, Alameda is so long that it's hard to be central and engage with everyone. Even though that's our intent. That is our intention wholeheartedly. We want you to be engaged and learn from. We want to learn from each other. We all are volunteers. None of us are getting paid for anything that we do. So as a volunteer, we all bring our own passions and commitments to the table. It's a very good idea to learn from each other's passion and commitments, and inspire each other. So there's a question: is there a document that shows which schools are out of compliance? If so, compliance is something that we address from all sides. We are looking for at bylaws. We are also looking at membership dues. We are also looking at engagement. We are also looking at whether you guys are paying taxes and workers' comm and all those things on timely manner or not. So those are all the things that work towards compliance. Some of them are updated, some of them are not updated. Some of the things that you're doing are within the time limit, and there are some which are not. So is Ujjwala here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So Ujjwala can talk to you about how you can get on top of membership compliance.
I think the question was specific to bylaws, and I
okay.
interrupt, but I did see a chart and I emailed that out to folks. So just
okay.
let you know.
Yes. So Berkeley. Bylaws. Yes, we have a sheet, and I'm sure Arpana can share it with you. And if I remember correctly, Arpana told me that there are, I think, all the Berkeley units are beyond 10 years or so.
Most.
So your bylaws are that old. And the biggest issue that happens when you don't have updated bylaws is that you are not following the latest bylaws, and which might be like, if you're zooming, it is not part of your bylaws if they are older than 10 years. Your bylaws say that you cannot zoom. So or you cannot have meetings not in person. So those things are some things that will be helpful for you to have in your bylaws. Also, if your bylaws are too old, many times people forget what bylaws are, what exactly you need to do with those. Does it even matter? I mean, I've heard people say, what are bylaws? Do you have bylaws? And how are they relevant? So you will find some information on our website also about it, what bylaws are and how to do it. But Arpana is here to handle those questions. Any questions specific to precedents?
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just we're moving along. I just want to keep us on our agenda here. I'd love us to jump to the training if you don't mind, and then we can, I think, jump to the questions afterwards, because I think our members have a lot of questions about bylaws.
Right. So about bylaws, you have questions, and as I told Rita, bylaws is a training by itself. You will need 1.5 hours just for the bylaws. Today, Arpana will be sharing a few things, and that will get you started. So if that is it, then I will leave you with my very efficient team. Linda is here, who is our VP of leadership. Ujjwala is here, our VP membership. Arpana is here, and I see Kristen is also here. So our whole team is here, and Arlene is here too. So I ask your questions to them, and I'll let you guys enjoy the meeting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank you, Vinita.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So do you guys want me to do the questions first or?
Aparna, I think, sorry, it's Arlene. I think it'd be a good idea
Yeah.
because you have those slides and then they can ask questions afterwards. It'll limit if you're repeating yourself.
Got it. That's what I'll get on with. Thanks. Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm Arpana Kinchan. I'm currently serving as the Peralta District Parliamentarian. I have not been doing this for long. I was appointed this July. I have skipped a level from unit to district. So I'm still in the learning process. But one thing is, if there are things that which there are plenty, I don't have an answer to, I can reach out to the state and get an answer for you. So let's get started. What are bylaws? Bylaws are your governing documents. They help you function in an orderly manner. As Vinita pointed out, if your bylaws are more than 10 years old, because teleconferencing was added to the bylaws only recently, like during COVID time. So if you have your bylaws which says you are supposed to have in person, then you're not actually following the PTA guideline, because in your bylaws, you don't have that provision. They define the PTA's purpose, mission, members' right, and roles and responsibility of officers and committee. Just like in today's meeting, we were not sure if Vinita will be able to be here. So when a president is unable to be at a meeting, you look at the bylaws, who's listed next? Executive Vice President. Do you have Executive Vice President? No? Okay, then who's listed next in your bylaws? It's the VPs. You have one VP, more than one VP. So your first Vice President, so that is our Linda. So she would be the one who's going to take a lead on it. So those are the things that are there in your bylaws. Bylaws are to be reviewed annually. So you should review to see if there are changes that you want, and they need to be updated every 5 years. Even if there are no changes, as Vinita pointed out, there are things that get added to the bylaws. And here's the thing, if a state PTA adopts anything in their bylaws, it trickles down to your unit. So even if that is not there in written in your bylaws, they are applicable to you and you are not following the rules in simple terms. Bylaws should be used. I know I'm in the minority. People find bylaws to be constrictive, but I think you can be friends with it. And upon election, each board member should receive a copy and review them to understand what your role and responsibilities are and financial requirements. There are 4 steps to the bylaws review. So the president will appoint a committee that will be chaired by the parliamentarian. The parliamentarian schedules a meeting and you register for e-bylaws. Now, currently, the e-bylaws program is not functioning, is not active. So the only way to submit your bylaws are through PDF. The committee will review the current bylaws, suggest changes, and prepare a list of amendments. Now, if you don't have any changes, you just want to update because you don't know. Because when we get the template, state doesn't list like, oh, these are the changes that has happened. So just move everything from your old template to the new. You just copy whatever information to the new template, and that's it. You don't have to change if there's no requirement at your unit level. Then the parliamentarian will use the fillable PDF, and then you present it at an executive board, and the board will then approve that, okay, we are okay with this. We agree to have these changes, or we are agreeing to not make any changes and just submit for a revision without any changes. And then the next step, you fill the bylaws and then you send it. So for you, it will be council. Council is going to forward it to the district. District is going to send to the state. Now, when I say parliamentarian, I know it is a job that is not filled as we would like to. Even Peralta has struggled with having a parliamentarian, and our amazing presidents have done it in the past. So it doesn't have to be a parliamentarian. Anybody, most I can give you an example, but that doesn't mean those are the only people who can take on this role. Usually the president, the treasurer is the common that I've seen for units that don't have, because treasurer, you have your tax filing and everything. And next, secretary, because these are the three positions that you are required to have. So otherwise, if you're VP, if you read your bylaws towards the end in the standing rule, it says, what does it describe and that's why I say bylaws are your friends, who the president can assign roles to the VPs besides the one. So that's something the president can, if they have executive vice president or a vice president. So you will have to figure it out as a unit, who takes on that role if your parliamentarian is missing. That doesn't mean if the parliamentarian is not filled in, you cannot do your bylaws. Next, you submit your bylaws. So whoever is preparing the bylaws, so you have 2 PDFs. I sent out an email to all the units within the Berkeley who, according to the state report, are not compliant. They are more than 5 years old. So you should all have received that email, and that email contains, I've tried my best to list everything. So I would suggest, I know it's a long email, but review them before reaching out to me. I would ask you to review them. Most of the questions are answered there. So there are 2 PDFs that you need to send out, the bylaws, and there's something called bylaws submittal form. Now for both, you download it, you use any free PDF reader, and you fill in. When you download it and when you open it using a free PDF reader, you will see those are fillable blanks. You enter it, and as in the email I've said, if you want to strike, some things are optional for units, as you will see in the officers. President, secretary, and treasurer are required by California Corporation Law Code, and parliamentarian is required by the state PTA. Previously, before 2024, historian was also required, but now it's an option. If units are struggling to find volunteers and it's one of those which doesn't get filled, you don't have to keep a historian. Or you're struggling because you don't have volunteers, you're unable to make quorum. So there are few which you must have, and there are others that are optional. I think I've seen a question like, which ones? It is all unit dependent. What you as a unit want to do. So there's no, oh, it's good to have this, or it's good to have, every unit have a specific need. So it will be a discussion that you as the executive board will need to have and decide. So as I said, it usually says everybody will see up the channel. So this is the channel. Unit needs to submit it to council. Somebody at the council needs to forward it to the district, and district to the state. That's the process. As I said, I'm new, so I don't know if you can straight away send it to me. I'll just share my personal reason for it. So there are 80 units which are not in compliant all throughout the Peralta. I'm currently working with 40 of them. I have 10 bylaws to review. It will take me a week, at least a week, to reply back to you, because one bylaws review takes me at least an hour. And it could be easy, but units, because one common problem that I've seen is units generally tend to, and I'm at the unit level 2, so I know you have the whole big school name and PTA, so that's your legal name. But you don't use that when you're communicating with your members. You shorten it. And guess what? That's what is sent on the bylaws. State is going to, that's not your legal name. So, and those things, so which the unit should be knowing, but there are things like your treasurer should be able to provide you with all the tax ID numbers. So I have to check each and everything. So it does take me an hour to do it. So if at the council, somebody can take that role on, and at least, and I had received a bylaws, we didn't submit the submittal form, so those which can be checked at the council, it'd be nice. I'm not saying you cannot send it to me directly, because I don't know but it just will slow the process if for the basic, and I think it will be good, like everybody's aware you're not skipping, so that if there are questions, that some questions might be answered at the council level. That's my take on it. Now, so I receive it, based on my knowledge, I think it's good to submit. I will submit to the state parliamentarian. Now, it doesn't go to the state parliamentarian. If you see the bylaw submittal, it goes to some other person. So it takes a minimum of 4 weeks for your bylaws to be returned back to you from the date I say I have submitted this bylaws. And yes, I do send an email. I will send you if there are corrections. I'll send you if they're submitted. So from the date you receive the email, like your bylaws have been submitted, minimum 4 days. It does come sooner. It has taken longer. It depends when we are during holiday season. It slows down. So there are certain phases. So before, if you don't hear from me till 4 weeks, it's okay. But if it's beyond 4 weeks and you don't hear from me, please contact. So after you have received your bylaws, you are supposed to send a notice. Since you all are part of Peralta District, you should all have received an email saying Peralta is adopting the bylaws, because we did revise our bylaws this year. And you being part of our association, you should have received, and you should have been able to see the amendments that were listed. So you send that 30 days before the meeting date. Then during meeting, you present, you vote. And this is one of those that is not a simple majority. Even with the notice, it is a 2/3 majority that you need for your bylaws to be adopted. After the adoption, the president, your unit president, and the secretary will sign and date. And then the last process to complete would be, please send us a copy of your bylaws after the president and the secretary have signed, because we are trying to keep have all the bylaws, so that, because at the unit level, people change, they move on. Sometimes the bylaws get lost. So we would like to help with that, but we won't be able to if you don't send us a signed copy, because here's the problem. If we don't have that president and secretary's signature, then they are not legally binding to you. You cannot use them if they have not been adopted. So once we see the signature, it tells us, okay, these have been adopted, these are legal. And these are the documents which I already shared in the email. There's a template. So I believe in the email, I sent only the English version. There's a bilingual if anybody needs. Here's the link. There's a submittal form, as I said. So one of the two. So the bylaws template, the submittal form. And there is a document, instruction for completing the bylaws. I humbly request you, read it. I will tell you, if you read that, you have that open in a separate screen, you will have everything correct. There might be a few questions, but most you will get right. It clearly tells you, don't use zero, don't use not applicable, just use hyphens to strike through the text and the blank spaces. So if you just do it side by side, there shouldn't be a problem. And that's my email address. And yes, questions.
Can I put in the chat the list that you sent out, the bylaw status of units? Can you, I can share that screen. Can you walk us through what each of those statuses means? Because I think it was confusing for folks. They just didn't know. We thought everyone's compliant, but obviously some actually are in compliant, but we don't know what stage.
Di, real quick, Di, I think if you look at it, it gives the date of the last submittal. So if it's a question, I know on my computer the colors came out kind of weird because I have a very old computer. And so you can look that column and see the date of the last submit.
Yeah, so the bright red are units that are 10+ years old. And the next step is for me to reach out to the principal, which I would not want to do it, letting them know, because you have to remember, PTA, we are guests at the grounds, and they're part of your board, and they have the right to know that the PTA functioning on the grounds are not in compliance. So that's the next step, which I'm not doing it now, but it is a suggestion that was suggested by the state. So, and these are the dates that are provided by the state. So if I see some have mentioned 2 years back, the current email address that I am using is just a little over a year. So I don't have those documents, I don't know. I mean, that email is still available, but I'll have to dig through. But here's the thing. If the state said, then it didn't reach them. I'm sorry, I can't provide you with a good answer why it didn't reach them, because those are not in the current email I'm using. So I can't look through and provide you a good answer. And second, if the state has not reached, even if you have your old, because the template has changed, you will have to move it to the new 2024 template. I'm sorry, but that's the only answer I can provide you. So the dark green ones as, oh, I thought I updated it. I did receive for Willett. So thank you so much. So Berkeley, Arts Magnet, Rosa Parks, and Willett. Thank you so much for providing the bylaws with the signature page. Amazing. And the rest, as you can see, some are 10 years old.
Can you, I'm sorry to interrupt though, just from your
No.
from your form, we have the last couple of years have attempted to submit bylaws according to the instructions, and apparently they have not made it. But it doesn't, that's fine. I got your new instructions, which were incredibly helpful, and we've updated them again. And we've gotten a vote approval of them. And so, but I still don't know who to send them to now.
As I said, I don't know if you can send it to me. The channel that the state says is to go to the council. As I said, I know they don't have a parliamentarian, so that will be a discussion among. So as I said, it's just a simple, like if you can just, so what happens is if you see the submittal form, and as I said before, pointed out before, and I'll stress again, save your files. Do not use the print function, because then I am unable to edit. If you look at the submittal form, there's a space for the council to enter the details, and there's a space for the district parliamentarian. I do not have a paid version, so I will send it back to you. And as I said, you'll receive an email, so you'll wait for like 4 or 8 days to have. So if somebody can at least check that at the council level and send it. So the whole review, I'm okay to do. So I mean, I will leave that up to the council if they wanted to send it to me directly.
We should wait.
Real
What
quick,
I'm hearing
currently there isn't, I mean, the three of us at council didn't know that we were supposed to be fielding them. So I don't think we've talked about that as a role. So if you're waiting, I mean, I would say go ahead and submit direct for people who are already ready to go. And Mandisa and Di and I can talk about moving forward, which one of us is going to take that on,
Sure.
or if we need to recruit somebody else to be doing that on the.
So that's good. And in the meantime, I will I will need to have the get the confirmation from state that they're okay sending it directly to me. So yes, I mean, but at least I can review them. So at least that part will be done.
Great.
So yeah,
that's very helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
I'd like to go through in the chat. There's a bunch of questions. Was
Okay.
that Karen from Thousand Oaks who was just talking? No.
I'm Lisa Ehrlich from Malcolm X.
Hi, Lisa, sorry. So
No,
Karen from Thousand Oaks said we submitted bylaws 2 years ago and never got a response. It shows that we're out of compliance. How should we proceed? It sounds like the answer to that is to complete the more recent form, which brings up one of the questions that were submitted to us ahead of time, which is how much change needs to be made? You know, if bylaws don't, I mean, is there an other than the issue around meeting virtually, are there updates that have to happen at every iteration?
So as I said, state doesn't give us like, oh, here's the new version with these changes. So you will have to, when you're doing it, like, you know, you will see like, oh, like I can tell you a couple that I've noticed. So like I mentioned, so historian is now an option. So if you open the bylaws template, you'll be able to strike it through. So it's no longer mandatory. And if you go to the standing rule 4 used to be you had to choose whether the president or the historian is going to submit the volunteer hours. That has been removed. So now we have gone down. I think it was 18, now we are 17. So that one standing rule is taken off. The signatures, who are the signees for your bank account, used to be part of the standing rule. It has now moved to the bylaws. 5 years was actually a few revisions back. So it's been at the unit level, when I see my bylaws 2019, it was already there. So that 5-year change that you need to update your bylaws every 5 years have been for a couple of years. But these are the few that I know. So yeah, so I can't provide you a list. I can just tell you. So when you open it, you'll have to see. And is there anybody who doesn't have a bylaws? Don't have, no matter how old? Are units who don't have a copy?
I don't know that we have representation from all our schools here tonight.
No, whoever
So
is here, like, is there any school that doesn't have the bylaws? Okay, if you have the bylaws, then it's just as you are going to, because you have to refer to it, right? You'll transfer so you'll know, like, oh, okay, this looks different, and that will give you an idea, oh, this has changed. So, and the teleconferencing, as Vinita pointed out. So those are the few things that have. And I saw a question about council assessment. I don't know what exactly that is, but I can tell you that is something that Berkeley Council will be able to tell you, because that will be in council bylaws that the council decides. So what you will fill in is going to come from, if your council does your assessment, how much fees are they going to, so that should be in the council bylaws. But the unit, my understanding is the unit can decide whether they want to use that. If you want to, then you have to pay, you will fill in with the details that, yeah, you will be paying whatever dues have been set by the council. If the unit doesn't want it, you just line out, don't fill anything.
I can look that up right now, actually.
Yeah. So that would be one of the questions I remember. And there was a question about roles, right? So as I said, if you're struggling with volunteers, you try to fill in the president, treasurer, and secretary. You need to have a parliamentarian. And now you need to have a financial review, because that is a requirement by our insurance. It's not something that the PTA set, but that's an insurance requirement. And besides that, executive vice presidents, they are additional helpers for the president. Now, if you go to the CAPTA website and look for job description, it will tell you. But you can add on, you can take away things from it, like what works for your unit. So first vice president I've seen as we have at Peralta, we have a VP leadership. We have a membership. Common ones are not at the unit level. Common ones are membership, fundraising, communications, hospitality. So, but if you have them, so those are elected positions. Now there's one common question, what misunderstood things that I've come across is people think like, okay, so when you have it listed in your elected position, yes, you need a higher quorum, but here's the thing. You are giving your association the power to elect who is going to serve. Now, you can have a hospitality chair, you can have a VP hospitality. What's the difference between the two? Your VP hospitality is chosen by your association. But if you have a hospitality chair, that is your president's decision. So the more number of officers that are your board members, actually, if you have more as standing committee chairs, then your president has way more power than your normal officers, because it is their choice. Remember, the president appoints. Now, here's the thing. When we say, and when those appointees are ratification, the association actually cannot say no. Ratification of committee chairs is the members saying, this was the president's right, and we are acknowledging that the president has exercised their right. It's if the president brings in and you don't like a person, you cannot say, oh, I'm not going to work with it. It's the president's right. So that's a very big difference. You want your association to elect, or you want your president. So, and as I said, financial secretaries are for treasurers. So how you divide the work, some I've seen the treasurer doing the deposit, the financial secretary doing the, so you divide the work. So financial secretary is there to help the treasurer. What else was there? As you can see, there are secretaries. There are two: recording secretary and corresponding secretary. So they divide the work. So recording will just be recording the minutes. But if you just have one secretary, your secretary is actually, the president can ask the secretary to prepare the agenda. If you look at the secretary description, the secretary is supposed to send out the meeting notice, the 10-day meeting notice, the agenda. So those all fall between the one person. But if you have a corresponding and a recording, then you divide the work. So that's, I think it's okay. Yeah. Any more questions? Sorry, I'm not browsing through the chat. I'm just going. If anybody has any questions and you would like to unmute yourself and ask, I think that would be better.
Hi, this is Han. I'm a Washington Elementary parliamentarian. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, but one of the questions I had for you upon on our previous call was regarding to council assessment. And that's kind of, I think, item 17, the very last one. I think that was supposed to be a question directed to Berkeley Council. I'm not sure what to put in there.
It's 25 cents for each per caps.
25 cents per, I'm sorry, what?
So that's, per caps is submitted every, I think it's December.
No, it should not be per caps. So that you're looking at the membership dues because no.
That's separate?
That's a separate. Just if your PDF is searchable, just search for assessments and you should be able, because what you're saying is when members at a unit pay their dues, then the unit gets to keep some. 50 cents goes to the district. So you're saying Berkeley has 25 cents. No, it's not that one. There's something that the council should have in the bylaws as assessment. Yeah. So that will be, I mean, maybe Rita can figure it out. Rita, if you don't have that, if you can share me your old bylaws, I can look through it and I can see if I can figure it out. Yeah. If you have your bylaws, you can share it to me later. So, yeah. Any other question?
Council might be the one that doesn't have a copy of bylaws because I'm not sure we have bylaws.
And district doesn't have one. So, yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah. So okay. So then that needs to be figured out.
Patricia, does that mean we just leave it blank until we figure that out? Can
no,
we submit?
So okay. So as I said, is unit wanting, I mean, I don't know what exactly that the council provides, what services they provide, but is it something that you want to make use of? Then you need to fill in. If you're not interested in, you're good with whatever you're doing, you can just leave it, line it out, the whole thing, because you're not interested in that. That would be but if you want, then as I said, it'll take time. We'll have to reach out to the state and see if they have a copy. If not, then I don't know. As I said, I'm also still learning. So what would be the process? Yeah, that's the best I can.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thanks, Arpana.
Yeah, sure. Anybody else? If not, I will.
Go ahead, Patricia.
So I submitted ours and then that form that you sent where we're saying what we added. Do you want our old ones too, so you can compare, or do you have our old ones?
No, I don't have. District does. Pre-COVID, it was all hard copies, and we do not have we don't. No, I don't need it. It's that
you don't need it.
That work will need to be done by the unit. I cannot review 80 bylaws side by side and say what changes you're making. As I said, when you're doing it, you would know what changes you're making, right? Because in the submittal form, you have to enter what changes you're doing from your current one. So that would be the list that you have to send.
On that form, I added all the changes we personally made, but on the new fillable form, there are changes that you guys made, like the it's zooms allowed and some other things. I didn't add that to our sheet because
no, you didn't add it. You didn't add it, but are you adopting it? Are you accepting the changes? Do you want to have teleconferencing? Are you having a meeting?
I just assumed that if you guys added that was
that's
standard.
an option. No, that is an option for the units. That that units have to choose whether they want to have it or not. There are still few units that have in person, so they strike that entire thing, that they don't want to have,
So
yeah.
we provide you guys with the changes that we make. How come when you guys give us a form, you guys don't tell us all the, you know, I mean, I'm a lawyer, so I like went through and I did that work. But like you said, we're volunteers. Like there needs to
I
be kind
know.
of a,
No,
there needs,
I
so I mean, this is advocate. So just as you're working up like this, if there's a form that's a change, like that, we should get the equivalent form that we're filling out and saying, these were the added ones.
No, so what the state is wanting is like you are filling the new form, right? So you see, okay, this was not there in the prior. That's like my
Right.
understanding. Did we? Oh, this section was not there. Okay, so do we want it or do we not want it? If
But
you
there's
want,
times where it has to be, where we have to adopt it, right? Like that's required now. So like you're asking volunteers who sometimes rotate on a yearly, this I'm just
I
saying this
get you.
because this is the struggle, right?
I
On a
get you.
yearly basis to not only be looking at these forms and our forms, but also then be reading the constant changes with, I mean, I was on the website. I spent 6 hours reading all the details of California PTA, what's required, and the quorum questions. And I have this knowledge because I have a law background. But what if someone does it, you know? And I think that this is a struggle, and this is why you get people out of compliance. It could be easier, and there's things we could do on both sides so that it could be easier for people to do.
I'm just in the middle. I'm sorry, I could provide you a better answer. So I know
No,
I
I
get that
know.
question. I get that question a lot, and the only answer I can say is like, hey, I'm trying to read, I'm trying to compare, and this is what I see. That
Oh yeah,
Okay.
just to speak out on ARPANET's behalf, it's not the district
Yeah.
that made the changes in the bylaws that you're talking about, it's at the state level. So that's the
Right.
reason, yeah, so if it's
Yeah.
trickling down to the state telling the districts, then she would be able to, yes. I understand what you're saying, Patricia, you're totally
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
But
all those
also,
guidelines that
but
you
also if it's, yeah, so
Continue.
also if it's kept up regularly, then, you know, and reviewed by each unit, whatever level we're at, then it's also easier to find those changes.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question about this submittal form, the reason is because it's writing out what is going up for adoption that should be read out in writing that goes into the minutes. So that's why, even though it's a Zoom and it was added in, like you said, by this at the state level,
Okay.
it's just being able to read them out to your unit and then at the association level, right? What those changes were.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
Arpana.
see. No.
No, I'm not mad at you. I'm
No,
I'm
I
mad
get
at the
it.
system. Not you personally, but I'm just like, there's something that could be done to make it just more user friendly on both sides. Is my
The
yeah.
website itself, if they could just clean it up, it would be great because
Volunteers,
Yeah.
Arlene, they have the
Yeah.
same reason. Volunteers.
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
We all agree with
I
you.
see James hands up.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, thanks for all the information so far. I think this kind of dovetails with a little bit of the questions. And so one of my questions was about the formality, and I'll just set the table. So at Washington, last May, we had 0 people who wanted to be on the board, right? So we talk about you need a president, you need a secretary, you need a treasurer, and now you also need a parliamentarian. Like we had 0. And we're trying to get there, and I'm trying to gently nudge people. I was the treasurer the previous 2 years, and I had to deal with all sorts of stuff, right? Like the Attorney General's office, we're out of compliance there. Our accounts need to be audited. We didn't have anybody doing that. Filing the taxes, they're wrong the previous 2 years, like whatever, right? And so on top of that, we have a $200,000 budget, right? Which I think Peralta probably thinks is nuts, right? Like what PTAs are raising $200,000. So we have schools that raise.
I'm gonna say that I'm at the unit level. At both the units, we have 25,000.
Exactly,
So
right.
amazing work raising that much funds.
Well, it's.
But then
I will say it's not good.
It
right?
is, but it's also a weird responsibility for I mean, as PTAs, right?
I agree.
Like
I agree.
it puts us in it's an unusual thing that we're doing. And I was,
No.
and it's not unusual in Berkeley, right? Like I think, Di, did you say it was, 2.5 million that
We're up to that 2 million.
PTAs did last year?
Yeah.
So it's
We're budgeted
a lot of
for.
money.
But
Right,
James,
right. So,
going, James.
so the my point is that like, yeah, Berkeley is doing something different. I'm like, some people are proud of it, some people hate it. There's everything in between, right? And so all of this formality is on top of all of that work and the sort of situation where there's not enough people to deal with it. And so, you know, some of my questions were basically, what is the minimum? So thanks for mentioning the parliamentarian and not needing the historian. I mean, that's definitely a clarification, but kind of to
You
one
can
of the
work
points
with
earlier.
just 3 officers. I mean, but then your workload is going to increase. You can function because I mean that's you don't have to have a parliament. It is something that so when I say you need to have a parliamentary is in your bylaws, you cannot strike that out. If it is vacant, you cannot just fill it with. I mean, what can you do? As I said, I have been here since July. Before that, our district president was managing the bylaws. Before that, I know our current VP membership, when she was the president, she did the bylaws on top of being a district president. So I get you. I mean, we are all struggling with the volunteers. So I mean, but as I said, it's there in the bylaws, and there are a few things that you have to follow. Yes, Linda, you would like to add
Right,
something
so,
to it.
So here's one thing that I want everyone to please understand. Having bylaws, having officers is not a California State PTA rule. That is a nonprofit 501c3 rule. If you do not have officers, the state of California and the federal government will shut you down, and your $200,000 or $2 million is just going to go into their coffers or into Peralta's coffers until you can get those things together.
So I fully understand this, but I got up at back to school night in front of the entire school, and I explained to them, this is not a Facebook group. This is a 501c3. Like, I went to the state and I registered us as a corporation so we could have an account and buy treasury bills, right? Like I'm fully aware of the seriousness of this.
Right, but you have to somehow people at the school have to understand you can't do that fundraising. If they want you to do that fundraising and do all the great things that the Berkeley PTAs do, you have to have officers. And if you can't get the officers, then you're going to have to stop doing the fundraising and give up that money. So it's not that PTA is holding your feet to the fire. It's the federal and state government. And I have seen, unfortunately, a number of PTAs get shut down because they don't have officers.
Yes. And this is why I'm the president this year. Like, my daughter's a
go.
5th grader.
Thank you for taking on the role. Thank you so much. But
and then like I strong-armed a bunch of people into filling the other roles, right? And trying to get them, but they're realizing it's very difficult to, you know, like Han is on here and he's doing a great job as our parliamentarian. Our previous parliamentarian sort of tried to update the bylaws, maybe like a couple times, but didn't happen, right? So I'm confident Han will get it done. But for example, one of my questions about the quorum is another thing where I read all the legalese and I'm just concerned because we do have almost 100 dues paying members. So the part earlier in the meeting where it's like, we want to, I think Ujwala said that, you know, they really want to have the membership numbers because it shows the advocacy. So we're able to do that, but then these people don't show up at the meetings because they don't want to hear what checks were written. Like they're fine with this stuff. So then when I look at the bylaws and I see voting power and you know, you need half the people to vote.
How many officers do you have currently?
So I think we have like 17 or 18 people that
No. You are misunderstanding.
Okay.
Elected, like Article 4 lists the
so we have
officers
zero.
of the.
We have 0 elected officers. I wasn't even elected president. That's like it almost went away, and that we're trying to get.
The state is going to come after you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're like,
so it's
my
not
question
dependent on the members.
Well, hold on a second. So elected and elected are different things. I will tell you, I got elected as the PTA president in the parking lot of my son's elementary school 3 days before the last day of school by the 3 outgoing officers. The PTA police are not going to come get you, but you have to say, okay, somebody vote for me, elect me. Don't you got elected.
No, so
even if you volunteered to do it, you got elected. Someone said, yes, you can have that job.
Yeah.
Okay, so that happened, but I'm not able to read the bylaws and see like there wasn't, a third of voting power, or there wasn't,
Yeah.
a quorum at a meeting that
Understand, yeah.
decided.
You
voting.
can
Understand.
you can rectify that. You can rectify that. It's not like it's the end of the world. As what I
Yeah,
what I
so
meant
we're-
when the captain that the state was like as she explained earlier, it's a non-profit rule. You have to have a president, you have to have a treasurer and a secretary to function at the basic level. You can function as a non-profit with 501(c), whatever, with the three. So you need to have those positions
Yes.
filled. If you didn't have a proper election, if you are able to make quorum for an association meeting, you can have that like, okay, we are filling it in and
Yeah, you
have
can
it written in
ratify,
the.
you can
Yeah,
ratify
you
the
can
election.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not the so when we say about the nomin, as I said, if you have it, the positions in your bylaws, if they don't get filled, it's vacant. So the minimum quorum for an executive board with just 3 officers, the president, treasurer, and secretary, mandatory as by the California Corporation Code, is 5. And the minimum for an association is 11. It cannot go below that because that is the set by the California Corporation Code. It's not a state PTA regulation. Right. So you, as Linda said, you just have 5 people to meet if all the board members, you have that like, okay, we are electing you, and then get it ratified in an association. So one way to do it is if you're raising that kind of a money, you would be having functions, programs, and events.
Right.
Before starting, we are having an association meeting. Here's the people who are going to be nominated. Here's the people we are electing, or we had it in the executive board. We are ratifying it. Everybody in favor say yes. People hardly say no. But if there is
Yes,
an
but
objection,
then you're at the point where like the dues paying members are the ones who vote, right?
Yes.
yes.
So then you
Yes.
technically have to say like, okay, 400 people, which one of yous have paid the dues at least 30 days ago? Okay, everybody else don't pay attention, and then you people vote and then count, right? Like if you wanted to do this properly.
Yeah, you just say,
Yes.
raise your hand if
Raise your hand,
paid
yeah.
your dues.
Maybe have a group. Like, okay, so here's what I can suggest. Like, as a president, there you are familiar with your people, right? At the unit level, like I know, oh, these are paid members. Call them aside. You make the quorum of 11. Okay, we have a quorum. Here's it is. These all people agreed, and you have it. I mean that's what I think. Like I've served as a president, and you know people who are your paid members, right? Because if you are in PTA, I don't handle that side. That means you have sent at least 15 membership to the district through council, right? So you at least have 15 voting members. So you can have an association. So I mean that's what I can suggest at this moment. I know we are all struggling. We struggle at Peralta. You guys are all part of our association. Nobody comes to our meeting, and I can tell you we are unable to do a lot of business.
let me
Real
ask
quick,
the
James, one quick thing. We have 1 more minute left to our meeting here.
Yes.
I'm happy to stay on if others are. Maybe we can give ourselves another 15 minutes to sort of wrap things up here. James, I want to let you finish your what you were about to say, but I just wanted to sort of give that.
Yeah, no,
I've
had a long day too. Yeah, I wish I could stay longer. I've had a really long day. So yeah, if we can wrap it up in like next 5 minutes, that would be awesome. Thank you.
James, go ahead.
So I was just going to ask the nominating committee, like there's all this formality, like at least 2 months before the election and then 30 days, all this written stuff, right? And then I hear I was elected in a parking lot. So how can we just, if it'd be nice if offline is fine, if someone can just write down in order, like how do we do the election in the parking lot? Because that's what's going to happen. And all of this work to try and like get the nominating committee and go to the association and get people involved. Like we're trying to do that right now, and it's crickets, like nothing is happening. And so it's a big waste of effort to go through this. It's demoralizing. And then if it's going to end up that 3 days before the end of school, we're going to be like grabbing people and twisting their arm to do this. Like that's just, we need to know how to do that properly, because I don't know how, it doesn't say in the bylaws how to do that.
So when Linda said how it happens in the parking lot, You make a quorum because it used to be in person. Before we all were this stuck with the Zoom, we all would meet at
In
school.
the parking lot, that's
Before
where they met.
in the parking lot, exactly. All everybody.
It wasn't even a meeting. It was just, okay, get them together and do it. And again, James,
Okay.
you were doing a great job. You're doing the best you can. And no one wants you, no one can expect you to do more than you can do your best. You're doing a great job. And again, I'm going to say this, don't repeat it. There is no PTA police. We are not going to hunt you
Sorry.
down and
Yes,
say you
yes.
did it wrong. But the idea is to next time do it a little better. Try
Great,
to get
great.
closer to
That is-
to the parameters as
Yeah.
best you can. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're doing great. You were doing really
Okay,
great.
so
really.
thank you,
let
association
me
meeting
add-
quorum.
Yeah.
That can do an election.
No,
me
and
add
then
to
let me correct myself. When you said we don't have any. So that's what I said. Like, you need to have a president, a treasurer, and a secretary to function as a PTA. So if you've not had those formalities done, that is one way of. If you don't have a parliamentarian, you don't have a financial reviewer. I've seen units, we would like volunteers to be there, but I've seen units that don't have it. Then you need to, like, either your bylaws get out of date, like by 10 years. That's how you end up with it. Or somebody takes on an extra responsibilities and tries to do it like the moment you reach 5 years, you try. So it's all,
Yeah.
you do the best you can. When I said the state, like if they don't see a president, treasurer, and a secretary, then they will send you a notice like, oh, you need to have, because to function. And as I said, it is a California corporation code. It's not a state PTA requirement that's been there. So if you have those three, you can function. And as Linda said, yeah, amazing job. Thank you for stepping up and all those money. But yeah, maybe meet somewhere. And as it doesn't have to be formal. Like, okay, somebody's just jot down the few points. Like, okay, and as I said, it's just okay. We appoint this person for this.
Yeah.
All right.
Real quick,
Just
we've got,
it
can
can
we
be as
do-
short as 4 lines.
Can we get one last, Hollis, your hand's been up, and
Yes.
Mandisa, your hand's been up. Maybe
Yes.
Hollis go first.
Can
Mandisa
I
go
just
second.
add one thing to this, for James and everybody else? I know they just talked about the election. James, the one thing to know is that it should be in the minutes. Okay, nobody's mentioned about it being in the minutes. So I would say a sign-in sheet, so that this is how you cover yourself. You have a sign-in sheet of whoever's been there, they signed in, and then a minutes that shows that you met quorum, right? And the voting. That's what is needed as documentation if anybody asks, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Hollis,
welcome.
you want to go ahead?
Can I add something like to James? Like I just like add one more
Unless you're
thing.
muted.
Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
James, like you're doing an awesome job of raising so much money. I would recommend trying to like send somebody to one of the conferences. State has a conference every year. If you can get at least one member with that money, you should be able to like send how many ever members who have the time. Time would be the only thing that they would have to put in. Like your PTA can send them to the state like for one of the presentations, and they should be able to guide the PTA and get more people in. If you can do a raffle or something to get people in saying, oh, we can send you out there to attend the workshops, which will better them as well as they'll also be able to network and get more people into the PTA.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Hollis.
Great, thanks. Quick question, and maybe of the group, can units opt not to collect membership dues?
No, sadly, this is a membership,
Okay, so we
we are.
can't have free memberships.
No,
No.
Hollis, we can talk offline or short in 5 minutes or 10 minutes about an option that might be helpful to you.
Yeah, you can have
Okay.
sponsorships. You can sponsor, but or scholarships, but everybody has to pay something because that's how you get to vote. If
Yeah.
you're not a member, you don't get to vote. And to be a member, you have to pay the dues.
And the PTA can charge whatever they want, right?
Yeah, you can
They
charge,
can.
You can charge
The
$5.
minimum is like $2 for California state and $2.25 for national. So you add up. So those portion will be sent up to the national, up till the national, and above that you can charge. Some do just $1, some do maybe $2. Yeah. So it depends how much you have to see where you're working with, what your membership would be okay paying. So there's no, but I just wanted to clarify that the dues that are forwarded, as it was said, the per caps that you forward to the all the way upwards, that needs to be covered at least. So yeah,
Okay. And then
that's the
someone said
minimum.
something about sponsoring someone. So does that mean another person can pay for a membership from others?
Yeah.
Okay, but there needs to be some record of payment on record for each member.
Yes.
And if you don't, is it just a finding of some kind?
Well, then you're.
I could speak
then-
on that, Linda.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
so basically, as Peralta Treasurer, I send your per caps for state and national to CAPTA. They do not record how many memberships you have until I send that portion. So CAPTA has no record of any of your members until we send them that portion to them. That's why you have to at least send that portion on to Peralta to send to CAPTA. Otherwise, they have record of 0 members at your unit in council.
And I guess that's a check that is done, right? There's a date, 15 members by certain time. That,
Yes, but you want to send your per caps every month. So don't wait
yes.
until December. Don't wait until right before your financial review. Don't wait till June. Every month.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the minimum you have to have 15. Just want to
Minimum
clarify that.
15, but CAPTA is going to start cracking down on it, that if you only have 15 units, they are encouraging you to have more because you're only getting the minimum, and we know you have way more people volunteering than 15. So
Yeah, if you have the, and
CAPTA's going to
especially
start
with that
cracking
kind
down
of
on it.
budget, and especially with that kind of a
Exactly.
budget.
If you have,
so they
and
know.
I've been the auditor before I was treasurer, so I've actually audited a few Berkeley books, so I know you guys got some dough in there. So definitely send some per caps, guys.
Yeah. So those are a few things that you will receive notice from, state will send it to the district will send it to the council, and the council will be letting you know. So those are a few things that the state does check on an annual basis. Yeah.
I think
I'll take one more question if you
yeah,
have.
I think Mandisa, you still have your hand up. Do you want to go?
Yeah, hi Rita. Just wanted to say thank you guys all for staying on so late and just being committed, dedicated. Thank you, James, for what you're doing in Washington. If you could please reach out to me, or I'll reach out to you, James, and we're going to come together and collaborate with a success strategy for Washington.
That's an amazing offer.
Okay, thanks. Yep.
Good to know. And that's how you collaborate and help each other. That's so great to see.
And you know what, Mandisa, you could join their PTA. You can be a member. You don't have to be at that school. I'm a member of
Really?
like 12. I'm like a member of 12 PTAs. I'm a member of a PTA where my grandkids go to school in Southern California. You don't have to.
You can be on any school's board if you have paid
Well,
their
you can just
membership
be a
dues.
PTA member. You can just be a member.
Oh, okay. Because I'm already on one school board with my daughter goes, so I can actually join another board in order to assist.
Oh, most of us are here are, like I'm at 2 unit level, and Linda is at so many. She'll talk about it.
You
Yeah.
can be a member. You can be a member at any PTA.
Yeah, so if any of the PTAs are local members, they can reach out and say, it doesn't have to be within their school. They can reach out to others and just say, we need some more. Even,
pass out flyers around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, not that
business members love to be PTA members. People who
Any
own
community
business
member.
love to be PTA members.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can become.
That's
Yeah, you can become a member.
Community members, yes.
Just want to clarify. But if you want to be on the board of that unit, then you have to be a member of that particular school. Yeah, but you can become members. Like I know many of our amazing team here, as Linda said, she's more than 12 or 13 units she's supporting. Arlene,
my kids have been long gone. I put them through 12 already. So they've graduated. I'm still in the PTA.
Okay, guys, I have to drop my daughters now.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much. Yes.
And for all of our members who've hung in there for this long, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I apologize, James. That's not what I wanted to say. You're doing an amazing job. I just misunderstood that you don't have the basic 3. So that's why. Otherwise, yeah. Thank you for your amazing job. And everybody, thank you for inviting us. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Got it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for the reminder, Arlene. Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you. Rita, are you staying